Looks like we're live. Thanks to everyone for joining. I'm joined here today by Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, as many of you will likely know, and Cody Sedin, the CEO of Cara Water. We're going to have a 15-minute discussion between Cody and Kevin about Cara Water's air-to-water technology. Cody, I'll go to you to start. Can you give us a brief background on yourself, the company, what you guys are working on, and how you're differentiated?
Yeah, I'd love to. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys. Good to meet you, Kevin, as well again. So at Cara Water, we turn air into drinking water. And the backstory is very personal to me. I grew up in Pennsylvania with well water, and my family had health issues for many, many years. We didn't know why. A doctor finally tested our well, and it was came back with highly contaminated bacteria. So we stopped drinking the well water, switched to bottled water. Fast forward a couple years, go to university to study architecture. I learned about this little beetle that lives in one of the driest deserts in the world. And the way that it survives is that it climbs up on top of a sand dune and the wind will hit its shell. And as the wind hits its shell, water starts to form somehow. And this little beetle somehow knows to do a handstand, and the water will drain off its back and it will drink the water off its own back to survive in the desert. And when I saw this, it was my aha moment. And I said, there's no infrastructure, no energy, and it's doing this in the desert. If we could replicate the shell of the beetle, we can really change how we access drinking water. And that was the start of Cara Water.
Great. Kevin, going to you just for an initial reaction, what stands out to you about entrepreneurs like Cody who are working on these sort of disruptive category-defining products and technologies?
You know, I love that beetle story because I know it. And just toward the end of it, too, those beetles support lizards that live in the desert, and they know to only eat the beetles on the way down the sand dunes so they can eat their bodies and get the water. So what do you say? That's just the way it is. Very interesting. Well, look, this is innovation. It's great because obviously drinking water is a perpetual problem. Most people take it for granted in northern regions, but it's not the case in many countries. So it comes down to whether this technology can be used efficiently, and how productive is it? How much water can you make per unit? And I think if it works, it's one of those game changer items, because just think about it's other than it's difficult to make it taste as good as fresh water, if you want to call fresh water, but it's better than being dead. So very interesting, no question about it. And by the way, Cody, what do you do to make it taste better? Do you put any salts in it or anything?
No, that's a great question. And, I do remember watching an episode of Shark Tank a long time ago, and I think you had a company doing something similar a long time ago, and the main problem they had was the taste of the water. So I definitely focused on the flavor and the taste of the water when developing our technology. And our technology, the core technology, is what makes it different. We literally replicated that beetle shell almost to a T. And what was on that shell was a natural coating, and that coating can distill water. So in our technology, we actually distill the water first, so it's very pure. With that purity, we then reintroduce minerals back into the water to give it its flavor per se. It's very smooth. We have a high silica content. I sourced different types of flavor profiles around the world when I was thinking about the flavor profile of the water, and what most people say is what you'd like to hear is when they taste it, is it tastes like water, which is basically what we're going for.
No, I get it. And so how much can it make in a day?
Yeah, so the units we have behind me back here, I'm at my factory now. Those do about 10 liters per day, which is 20 bottles of water a day. It's good for a family of 4 to 5, good for a small to medium office. And we have it in various places, on ships, maritime, on cargo ships, hotels, homes, offices, as I mentioned, and we're looking to expand that as well.
Don't you need a certain level of humidity in the air for it to function?
Great question. And again, I'm glad you know about that beetle, because that's part of the big story, is that beetle can do this in the desert. And we like to say one of our claim to fame is that we can also produce water in the desert. One of our distributors in Las Vegas is again in Las Vegas, produces water in his office. We have tons of, actually the best feedback we get are from our customers in Scottsdale, Arizona, where it's about 3% humidity and it produces water every single day.
And so what would motivate someone in Vegas to purchase it when he can just turn on the tap in his office or hotel or home?
Yeah, when we survey our customers, which we do quite often, we find that most of the customers that are buying our product are typically bottled water drinkers. And if you go back to my personal story, they also had their own traumatic experience with water, the taste, the flavor, bacteria, whatever have you, a emergency warning in your local county to boil your water, things like that. And once you lose trust in your water, you don't go back most of the time, filtered or not. So you switch to bottled water, and that becomes a cost burden and also a, just plastic garbage burden as well.
Interesting. What about the price point? What does it cost?
Great. Yeah, so one of the challenges we had to overcome when we first started was price. Typically, this technology is around $4,000 to $5,000 is the going rate. These ones here behind me are around that price. Our goal is to make this mass market. We know that that's not a sustainable price point for a mass market. So the last 2 years, we spent miniaturizing the technology to a countertop model that we just recently launched, and it was named Time Best Invention about a week ago. It is priced at $799. That's an 87% price reduction compared to our price of our larger product here, Car Pure. And our goal is to continue to drop that price down as far as we can. I always tell people on my team, we want to be the next air fryer. It just gets down to a price point where it becomes on everyone's countertop.
Now, is there a portable version in the future, or do you have to plug it in?
Currently got to plug it in. And when we were at Climate Week last week, or a couple weeks ago in New York, one of the things that we've benefited from was the electrification of the grid. That has significantly benefited us with the tailwinds. This technology has become more accessible to people because of the electrification. The goal is to have a portable version that's like the Pandora's box of this technology. And yes, we have plans for that in the future.
Now, fascinating. And so tell us about the raise. What are you doing?
Can you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
You're on Start Engine, so I'm assuming you're here for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. The raise has been going well. I mean, we've been really excited. We are a consumer product, right? So a lot of our own customers come to invest in our technology. They want to see more technology come out of us. There's a big brand loyalty behind it as well. So as we grow our customer audience, we tend to grow our investment as well, our investor pool as well on Start Engine. So the race has been going really well, and it's been exciting to see how many people have been interested in contributing and being part of the journey as we develop new technology and come out with new products.
Yeah, it's a good example of why equity crowdfunding can be very successful on a consumer-driven product. I mean, you've got your own advocates, your own users, your own customers wanting to share on the equity stack. That tends to be incredibly sticky equity. As long as they're users and everybody has to drink water forever, they'll be shareholders. And so a good example of why this works.
Absolutely.
Cody, do you want to speak to maybe some of the specific end markets and use cases you guys are going after, and how is that tied in with your longer term, call it a 10-year vision, and where you envision the company going in the future?
Yeah, we love that question. Since we've really nailed down our technology over the last 3-4 years of being in business, and then we miniaturized it to the countertop model, our vision here is to really take our technology and become the core technology for virtually any home appliance or product that uses water or needs a water line hookup. We like to think of it as the next evolution of products that need water and how they access it as a source. Additional to that is there's a lot of strain on groundwater sources in water-stricken areas such as Arizona because of data centers, and that puts stress on the residents. And being able to have a technology like this, we can supplement the drinking water for the residents. And with groundwater scarcity, drinking water is a very small portion of that. So if we can address that, that's a huge win. And that's part of the goal, is not just drinking water, but to expand into the core technology that's used for any type of product that needs water.
When you heard Cody's goal, and I think the example of this being as easily accessible and as common as air fryers, you've seen a lot of consumer hardware companies on Shark Tank. What sets a product like this apart from those typical consumer appliances?
Well, the difference is a lot of consumer goods and services products are nice to have, but not necessarily. So the marketing challenge is convincing them to buy something they haven't bought before, even though they don't need it. This is water. You have to have it. And so whether you're getting water from a contaminated well or you're concerned about your city's supply, and there have been the stories in various towns and states over the years where this has been a huge problem, contamination. This solves it. And so a commodity you have to have every day, no optionality, and an eloquent solution. The question is the price point. So, the lower it goes, the bigger the market's going to be. But it starts its life in a much different place on the stack, because you just say it's water. It's pure, it's clean, and you make it yourself at a low cost. That's a good pitch. That's why it's working.
Yeah, and I'll say that there's some really exciting stuff we're working on the two things. One is the humanitarian, but what's also really exciting is we're working on a product to enter into the pet industry, which we think is going to be a huge product for us as we grow and scale into the pet market.
Yeah, that is interesting. One of Shark Tank's most successful products was a portable dog watering bottle that you stoop down and squeeze it, and it just supplies enough water for Fido to lick out of an open funnel, and then you just stop squeezing it and the water goes back. There's no waste. So you're taking your dog on a walk. I thought it was ridiculous, but it sold a ton. And so people are always concerned about hydrating their pets.
Yeah, it's a big problem. And one of the things we look to solve with that product is most of the people we know who have dogs, when they go out, they have to rush back home to put water in the bowl. So now you won't have to worry about that with the technology we're developing.
So it'll be on demand for dogs, just sitting there constantly providing it?
Correct.
Very interesting. And you probably don't even have to flavor it. They'll drink anything.
Yeah. Well, the best part is we can go into verticals where we put medicine into it or dental, whatever you need into the water, and you can add those additives, but at least it's always there for them, and we'll have an app to control it.
Yeah, that's going to work, I think. What do you think the price on that's going to be? Pretty
low. We're aiming for between $200 and $250. We'll probably make it a little more expensive for cat owners with the agitator in it.
I would think that'd be a very successful product.
Yeah. And what's exciting about that is we have an investor who's willing to finance about $7 million of inventory. $7 million of financing behind it already. We just got the LOI yesterday.
I assume that's a pet distributor of some kind, right?
Correct. Yeah. At least they have connections to the pet distributors.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's a good derivative product. That itself would be a great Shark Tank pitch right there. But in conjunction of line extension for you, that sounds terrific. Very good idea.
Thank you.
In the last minute or so here, Cody, you want to just leave us with your final thoughts on kind of the next step for Cara Water? How does this current raise help you guys accelerate what you're working on?
Yeah, exactly what I just mentioned to Kevin there. We're working on some really exciting products. With CaraPod, it was just our first step into a small version we call it our urban solution, and being able to fit into more homes and offices. As people come and invest in our startup, we're able to develop new technology and continue to drive that price down by getting economies of scale. And with achievable price points, we can access a lot more of the market, and we can grow our company even further. So the more people invest, the stronger our company can get with taking market share.
Kevin, final thoughts to you. This is a company really blending profit and purpose from Cody's sort of origin story. How do you view this from an investor perspective?
Well, I think because the product's actually in the market, it de-risks it somewhat. And, extensions like the pet product makes a lot of sense. And it's water. I mean, it's you have to have it. I've said that countless times. But much easier sell than some other. We see so many stories about drinks that hydrate and drinks that nutriate and all of this stuff on Shark Tank, but you don't have to have them. This you have to have. You have to have clean water. So I think it's a good deal.
Great. Well, thank you to everyone who's listening. Cody, Kevin, thank you for the time. Cara Water, as mentioned, currently raising on Start Engine. You can check them out. Thank you both.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Harrison.